Ngozi dropped the bag of tomatoes the moment she saw the girl. Pure water sachets in her hand, barefoot, skinny, walking under the hot sun. But it wasn't the pure water that froze Ngozi's blood. It was the girl's face. The same round cheeks, the same small scar above the eyebrow, the same eyes that used to call her mommy every night before sleeping. Her daughter, Amaka, the daughter she buried 2 years ago. Ngozi's legs went weak. The market noise faded. Her ears started ringing. No, 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 she whispered. The girl turned. Their eyes met. For 1 second, just 1 second, Ngozi saw fear in the girl's face. Then the girl ran. Ngozi ran after her like someone chasing a ghost. Amaka! Amaka! People stared. Traders shouted. A bike almost hit her. But the girl disappeared into a narrow street. Ngozi stood there shaking, sweat pouring down her back. 2 years ago, she held her daughter's small, cold body. She saw the coffin. She watched the burial. She cried until her throat bled. So who was that girl? That night, Ngozi couldn't sleep. She kept seeing Amaka's face. Not a dream, not imagination. Real. She remembered the day her daughter died. Sudden illness, vomiting, weakness, then silence. The doctor said it was food poisoning. Everything happened fast. Too fast. Ngozi didn't even see the body clearly before burial. Her husband said she was too emotional and shouldn't look. Her husband arranged everything. Paid the hospital, paid the coffin, paid the burial. Ngozi's heart started beating loudly. Why did he rush it? The next day, Ngozi returned to the market. She searched every street, every corner. Finally, she saw the girl again, selling pure water near a bus stop. Ngozi walked slowly this time, tears filling her eyes. My child, she whispered. The girl froze. Then she said something that broke Ngozi's heart. I'm not your daughter, madam. But her voice was Amaka's. Ngozi grabbed her gently. Who are you living with? Who is your mother? The girl looked scared. Before she could answer, a rough woman appeared and slapped Ngozi's hand away. Leave her, that's my child. Ngozi stared at the woman. She had never seen her before. But the girl's eyes were begging, begging silently. Ngozi's stomach turned. Something was very wrong. That night, Ngozi searched through old hospital papers, receipts, reports, death certificate. And then she saw something shocking. The signature on Amaka's death report was fake. Not the doctor's name. Another name. Her husband's friend. A compounder. Ngozi's hand started shaking. What if Amaka never died? What if someone sold her? What if her husband knew? Ngozi sat in darkness, tears rolling quietly. Because now she understood one thing. Her daughter didn't die. She was taken. And someone close to her helped it happen. Ngozi wiped her tears slowly. Tomorrow, she would start asking questions, and whoever touched her child would regret it. But outside her house, someone was watching from the shadows. Someone who knew Ngozi had seen the girl. Someone who wasn't ready to let Amaka be found. What happened next, her husband never imagined. Ngozi didn't sleep that night. Every sound in the house felt like a warning. Every shadow felt like someone hiding. By morning, she made up her mind. She would go back to the bus stop and take her daughter home, no matter what. When she got there, Amaka wasn't selling pure water. The rough woman was dragging her into a kiki. Amaka was crying quietly. Mommy, please, I don't want to go. Ngozi ran. Leave her! The woman turned and hissed, mind your business. But this time, Ngozi held Amaka tight. My child, tell me the truth. Amaka's lips trembled. Then she whispered something that shattered Ngozi's heart. Daddy sold me. Ngozi felt the world spin. The rough woman pushed Ngozi down and the keke sped off with Amaka screaming. Ngozi lay on the ground shaking. Her husband, her own husband, sold their daughter? She ran home like a mad woman. Her husband Chinedu was sitting calmly, eating food. Ngozi slapped the plate from his hand. Where is my daughter? Chinedu froze. For 1 second, just 1 second, fear showed on his face. Then he shouted, You are mad. Amaka is dead. Ngozi threw the fake hospital report at him. I saw her. She is alive. Silence filled the room. Chinedu's hands started shaking. Ngozi knew. He knew. That night, while Chinedu slept, Ngozi searched his phone, and what she saw made her scream. Pictures, videos, children, many children, dirty rooms, numbers saved with names like Buyer 1, Buyer 2. Ngozi dropped the phone. Her husband wasn't just a traitor. He was a child trafficker, and Amaka was one of the children he sold. Ngozi ran outside crying, but suddenly, headlights blinded her. A car stopped. 2 men came out. One whispered, You shouldn't have looked. They dragged her into the car. Ngozi screamed, kicked, fought, but before they covered her mouth, one man said something that froze her blood. your husband said you are becoming a problem. Ngozi's tears stopped because now she understood. He didn't just sell their daughter. He was about to bury her too. They dragged her into the car, but as the car sped into the night, Ngozi saw something shocking in the front seat. Amaka, tied, crying, alive. Their eyes met. And in that moment, Ngozi made a promise in her heart. She would destroy everyone who touched her child, even if it meant burning her own marriage, her own home, her own life. Because this time, a mother was coming for revenge. Ngozi thought the worst had already happened. She was wrong, because inside that moving car, she saw Amaka tied beside the driver, crying silently. Ngozi screamed and fought like a wounded lion. "Leave my child!" One of the men slapped her hard. "Keep quiet. Your husband paid us to finish this matter tonight." Ngozi went cold. Finish. Not hide, not threaten. Finish. Her own husband wanted her dead. But suddenly, the car stopped. Police sirens screamed behind them. The kidnappers panicked. One jumped out, another ran into the bush. Ngozi and Amaka were dragged out. A young police officer untied them quickly. "Madam, you are lucky," he said. "We have been tracking this child trafficking gang for months." Ngozi held Amaka tight, crying like someone reborn. But the officer's next words froze her again. "Your husband is already in custody." Ngozi felt weak. It was over. Or so she thought. At the station, Ngozi faced Chinedu. He looked tired, angry, broken. Ngozi expected him to beg. Instead, he laughed. "You still don't understand," he said quietly. Ngozi's stomach tightened. "Understand what?" Chinedu looked at Amaka, then at Ngozi, and whispered, "She is not our only child." Ngozi's heart stopped. "What are you saying?" Chinedu's eyes filled with fear. "There were twins." Ngozi's heart stopped. "After you gave birth, the hospital told me one baby died, but a nurse offered money, said rich people wanted a child. I agreed." Ngozi screamed, "You sold your own baby?" Tears rolled down his face. "I was poor, desperate. I thought nobody would know." Ngozi's knees gave way. 2 children. One sold at birth, one sold years later. Her marriage, her life, built on a monster's secret. But the biggest shock came later that night. A senior police officer pulled Ngozi aside. "Madam, your husband is just a small player. There are powerful people behind this." Ngozi's chest tightened. "Who?" The officer hesitated, then showed her a photo. Ngozi screamed, because in that photo, standing with Chinedu, was her own younger sister, smiling, helping. Her sister had been part of the trafficking network, the same sister who cried at Amaka's funeral, the same sister who hugged Ngozi every night. Ngozi felt her heart tear apart. Everyone she trusted betrayed her. That night, Amaka slept in Ngozi's arms at the hospital. Ngozi watched her child breathing softly, alive, warm. Then Amaka whispered sleepily, "Mommy, they said my other sister is alive too." Ngozi froze. Her twin daughter, alive somewhere, sold to strangers. Ngozi wiped her tears slowly, because now her fight was not just for revenge, it was for the child she had never even held. Outside the hospital window, a man was watching quietly on the phone. He whispered, "The woman knows about the twins." A deep voice replied, "Then stop her before she finds the other child." Ngozi didn't know yet. Her biggest enemy wasn't her husband, or her sister, or the kidnappers. It was someone powerful enough to buy children and erase families. And he was already coming for her. Ngozi did not cry again. Not when she found out about the twins. Not when she saw her sister's face in the police file. Not even when Chinedu was taken away in handcuffs. Her tears were finished. Now there was only one thing left, her other daughter. The police tried to stop her. "These people are powerful," the senior officer warned. "You need protection." Ngozi shook her head. "They took my children. What else can they take from me?" Using information from Chinedu's phone, the police traced old transactions. One payment stood out, a large transfer made the night the twins were born. It led to a private fertility clinic owned by a wealthy businessman, Chief Balogun. Respected, influential, untouchable. Ngozi stared at his photo for a long time. Then she whispered, "Take me there." The clinic looked clean, perfect, smiling nurses, soft music. It made her sick. When Chief Balogun walked in, he looked calm, confident, until he saw Amaka standing behind Ngozi. His face changed, just slightly, but Ngozi saw it. "You bought my child," she said quietly. The room went silent. The chief laughed nervously. "Madam, be careful what you accuse people of." Ngozi dropped a file on the table. DNA results. The police had tested Amaka against records secretly collected from the clinic's database. There was a match. A second girl, registered under another family name, living abroad, adopted illegally. Ngozi's twin daughter was alive. Chief Balogun's smile disappeared. You don't understand, he said coldly. We gave her a better life. You are poor. You would have raised her in suffering. Ngozi's hand trembled. You had no right. He leaned closer. And what will you do? Expose me? Do you know how many politicians sit at my table? Ngozi's heart pounded, but she smiled, because this time she was ready. As Chief Balogun spoke, hidden cameras in the room recorded everything. The police officer stepped forward. Sir, you are under arrest for child trafficking and illegal adoption. Chief Balogun tried to run, but officers were already inside. For the first time, the powerful man looked small. Ngozi watched as they handcuffed him, but her victory felt incomplete because one child was still far away. Weeks later, the news broke nationwide. A child trafficking ring exposed. Influential names involved. Arrests everywhere. Ngozi became a symbol, a mother who refused to stay silent. Then one evening, she received a video call. A teenage girl appeared on the screen. Light skin, same eyes as Amaka, same scar above the eyebrow. The girl looked confused, emotional. I was told my parents died. Are you my mother? Ngozi could not breathe. Amaka held her hand tightly. Yes, Ngozi said, her voice breaking. I am. The girl began to cry. I always felt something was missing. Ngozi cried too. For the first time, they were tears of hope. But just as the call ended, Ngozi received a message from an unknown number. A simple text. You destroyed one branch. The tree is still standing. Ngozi stared at the screen because she knew something now. Child trafficking wasn't just one man. It was a network. And powerful people were still free. Ngozi looked at her daughters, one beside her, one on a screen. She wiped her tears slowly. They started this, she whispered, but I will finish it. Outside, reporters waited. Inside, a mother prepared for war, because this story was bigger than her family, and it was far from over.
The message kept replaying in Ngozi's mind. You destroyed one branch. The tree is still standing. She tried to ignore it. She focused on Amaka, on rebuilding, on smiling again. But deep down, she knew something. Chief Balogun was powerful, but he wasn't the root. He was protected, and protected people don't fall alone. 3 days later, the senior police officer who helped her was transferred suddenly. No explanation. The case files began to go missing. Media coverage slowed down. Ngozi understood. Someone bigger had stepped in. Then it happened. Amaka disappeared. Again. Ngozi came home from the market and the house was silent. Too silent. The window was open. The door was not broken. On the table was a small envelope. Inside was a photo. Amaka, sitting in a chair, blindfolded, alive, and a message. Withdraw your public statements. Tell the media you lied, or this time, we won't return her. Ngozi's hands shook violently. They were not just threatening her. They were playing with her child's life. Again. For 1 hour, Ngozi cried. Just 1 hour. After that, something inside her changed. She did not call the police. She did not go to the media. Instead, she called her sister. The same sister who was arrested and later released on bail. Her sister answered nervously. What do you want? Ngozi's voice was calm. I know you are still connected to them. Silence. I know they took Amaka. Her sister started crying. You don't understand. They will kill me too. Ngozi whispered something cold. If my daughter dies, you won't live long enough to be afraid. That was the first time her sister realized. Ngozi was no longer the weak woman she betrayed. That night, her sister sent her an address. An old warehouse near the river. They're moving children out tonight, she whispered. Ngozi didn't wait. She went straight to the press instead. Live broadcast, cameras rolling. She stood in front of the warehouse and said, if anything happens to me or my daughter, the whole country will know who did it. Within minutes, the location went viral. People gathered. Police had no choice but to respond publicly. They stormed the warehouse. Gunshots echoed. Screams filled the air. Ngozi stood frozen as officers rushed inside. Then, she saw her, Amaka, running out, crying, alive. Ngozi collapsed to her knees, holding her child tightly. But as the police dragged out suspects, one face made her blood freeze. It was not a stranger. It was the senior police officer who once promised her to protect her. He had been working for the network, the real tree, and it ran deeper than anyone imagined. As he was pushed into a police van, he looked at Ngozi and smiled. You think this ends here? Ngozi held her child tighter, because now she understood something terrifying. This was not just a trafficking ring. It was connected to politics, to law enforcement, to powerful families. And somewhere, someone was still untouched, watching, waiting. The camera lights flashed around her. Reporters shouted questions. Ngozi stood up slowly, her voice steady. If they think I will stop, they don't know a mother. And somewhere far away, in a quiet office, a man turned off his television. He picked up his phone and said one sentence: "Prepare for phase 2." Ngozi's war had just entered a new level. And this time, it wasn't just about her children. It was about exposing a system.
Ngozi was tired. Not the kind of tired sleep can fix. The kind that sits inside your bones. Her daughters were finally safe. The warehouse raid exposed dozens of traffickers. Powerful men were arrested. But one person was still missing. The man who sent the first message. The root of the tree. 2 weeks later, Ngozi received an invitation. No name, no address. Just one line. If you want the truth about your twins, come alone. Ngozi knew it was dangerous, but she went. A quiet mansion at the edge of the city. Guards, cameras, silence. And inside, an old man sat calmly. Grey hair, gentle smile. Ngozi froze, because she knew him. Dr. Okeke, the same doctor who delivered her babies years ago. The man she trusted. The man who told her one twin died. Ngozi's knees shook. You? The doctor nodded slowly. I'm sorry, he said. Then he told her everything. Years ago, rich families who couldn't have children paid hospitals secretly. Doctors, nurses, middlemen, they all took part. When Ngozi gave birth to twins, he saw an opportunity. One baby was declared dead, sold. The second was kept in case of questions later. But when Chinedu lost his job and came begging for money, the network contacted him. That was when Amaka was sold too. Ngozi felt her heart tear open. You destroyed my family. Dr. Okeke whispered. We told ourselves we were helping rich families, giving children a better life. Ngozi's voice shook. You stole mothers. Suddenly, police rushed in because Ngozi had come prepared. A hidden recorder in her bag, a live call connected to investigators. Dr. Okeke was arrested quietly. The last route finally exposed. Months later, the court sentenced many people. Doctors, politicians, officers, businessmen. Some went to prison. Some lost everything. Some still escaped, but their names were known. The country watched, angry, awake. Ngozi stood outside the court with her daughters. For the first time in years, she breathed freely. That night, her twin daughter arrived from abroad. They hugged for a long time. No words, just tears. 3 hearts, finally together. Ngozi thought the story was over. But later, while cleaning old papers, she found something strange. A small hospital file. Inside was a note from Dr. Okeke. One child, not from the father. Ngozi's hands froze. She read it again. Her twin daughters were not Chinedu's children. Someone else was their father. Ngozi sat down slowly, shaking, because suddenly she remembered. The night years ago when she was drugged during a hospital stay. The whispers she ignored, the fear she buried. Her children were not just victims of trafficking. They were born from another dark secret. Ngozi looked at her daughters sleeping peacefully. She touched their hair gently. Some truths, she decided, could wait, because healing also matters. Outside, the world was quiet, but inside Ngozi's heart, one promise remained. If evil ever tried to touch her children again, she would burn the whole system down. This time, no mercy, because a mother who finds her stolen child never goes back to being weak.